Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode number 137 for April 22nd, 2015. My name is Russell Frost. Happy Earth Day! And thank you.
Happy Earth Day!
Hey, everybody say Happy Earth Day. That's
Happy
right.
Earth Day! Happy Earth Day!
Happy Earth Day!
My name, as always, is Russell Frost, and I am lucky enough to be joined this week by my my recovering co-host. Everyone, give his little boo-boo a kiss. His name is Danny Cooper.
Thank you.
He just gave me the finger.
Giving everybody the finger right now. The index finger for those on the podcast. Yes.
If only that was the grossest thing we were going to show tonight.
I'm back with my digits intact, and I'll kick off the beer roundup tonight by I'm having another one of these Dogfish Head Namaste's because I don't drink beer very often, so they sit in my refrigerator until the show starts.
Does that go well with antibiotics?
Let's just pour it on a little bit and see if we got a doctor here. He can tell me.
Sure.
That sounded like very professional advice.
We have a doctor that brews his own beer. Have you thought of brewing an antibiotic beer?
That's a good idea. You could try that.
I would stay on the regimen.
You don't want to work forever, do you, Evan? Come on,
Exactly.
Take it.
Penicillin was a total mistake.
You can sell that to Big Pharma.
Yeah, exactly. Billionaire Evan Fusco. Well, speaking of billionaire Evan Fusco, let's introduce everybody on the panel this week, starting with billionaire physician and inventor of the antibiotic beer.
Hello, everyone. This is a change. I never am the first one announced on the show, so I'm caught a little off guard here. But it's good to be on tonight. I am back to my homebrew nut brown ale. I think that keg's starting to run low. Next week, though, assuming I make it, I'll have a brand new beer and an American wheat ale that I'll just be kegging this weekend, and it should be delicious.
Excellent. Well, we'll all be over for a glass.
Sounds great. I'd love to have you.
I'm in.
I love that idea. I mean, let's go. And speaking of we'll all be over for a glass, our man in the Pacific Northwest, his name is Patrick Connor.
Hello, and if we're doing beer shout-outs, I'd like to give one to Fort George Washington Beer. It's great stuff. They have a bourbon stout, delicious. And for my Oregon factoid, I'll make it quick. We are the only state to have something on the back side of our flag. Bonus points if you know what it is.
Ooh.
Well, it's the thing that you fly on the top of the flagpoles.
Our flag, yes, if you know what a flag is, bonus points for Tony.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of our special panelist, bonus points Schaefer.
Hey, everyone, happy Earth Day, and I'm back to my scurry, brewed here in Chicago, and I kind of like it, so I'm having another one. I have to work through the 6, just like everyone else.
Tony, you gotta open it before you can drink it.
Pop the top, dude.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I have to go to my Boulder Beer for our missing panelist, Mr. Guzik.
Oh.
So, all right. So, cheers. Happy Earth Day.
Pour it out for Paul. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we're going for Paul. We
Not
like
wasting
Paul, but
beer.
not enough to abuse alcohol for him.
Right.
Not that much. So,
On my carpet.
we're gonna get right into things, and this week, for the first time since we've actually started doing it, no one had a 2-minute news topic, which is kind of okay because it's going to give us some time to do a fun extra news topic. One of the first things we wanted to talk about this week was a let's see if I can. There we go.
That is beautiful.
That Toyota. The Toyota Motor Corporation.
Oh boy.
Sales of the United States of America released today, made by the famous director Morgan Spurlock of Super Size Me and many other productions. This is called, and it was called, uniquely enough, Fueled by Bullshit. And the picture you see on your screen actually appears at 26 seconds into the video. You get to watch a cow pooping.
Yeah, I don't think those are bulls.
They are not.
Please make note also. Make note also on the left side of your screen there is snot dripping from another cow's nose, just to really add
Nice.
an extra point of reference.
That-
Yeah.
Right.
So
Powered by everything is their theme.
I think. Do you think everybody's had enough of the cow poop?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're done with that one.
Please.
Good.
I do think, though, that we should make that the thumbnail for this week's video on the website.
Wow.
I bet it will be the most, at least clicked on, episode that we've ever
Yeah.
done.
What the what?
It's like, why did they have poop? Oh, that's what that is.
Actually, I'll do that, Mr. Cooper. I will make sure that is the video thumbnail. So, Toyota came out with this. I think it's 3 minutes and 17 seconds. It is entitled "Fueled by Bullshit," and that is the exact title. It is an official Toyota USA video, and it is basically a defense of the hydrogen fuel cell Mirai that Toyota is coming out with. And part of the point here is that their critics are apparently full of what their critics claim Toyota is full of. And so what Toyota proposes to do in this short video is take 3 minutes and a random engineer and a random farmer, and they take a literally truckload of cow manure and turn it into hydrogen, pump the hydrogen into the Mirai, and then the farmer drives the Mirai down the road. Now, if that seems like a collection of non sequiturs to you, thank you, because that's kind of a collection of non sequiturs to me too. But I think there's some other good points to bring up, and I'm not going to steal all the thunder here. I'm going to let everybody else kind of dissect this. But so, who would like to start?
I'll start. So I think conceptually, I actually kind of like this. At least Toyota is acknowledging right up front that there are a whole lot of people that don't believe in hydrogen, that think it's got problems, and if they've made the decision that they're going to move forward with fuel cells, that they're going to have to first overcome that major obstacle. So they're hitting that head first, bringing it right up. So I applaud them for that. They brought in a big hitter with Morgan Spurlock to put this series together. So I'll give them that. I obviously I'm not sold. I think what they successfully did is demonstrated just how much energy it takes to produce hydrogen, to fill a tank, to drive a car, instead of just putting that energy straight into a battery that could immediately be driven.
It does seem to be a little bit of a circuitous process, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
Now, obviously, that's not the only process you can use to extract hydrogen, but so I think they're saying there's multiple potential sources, most abundant element in the universe, all that BS that they're going to throw at us. But yeah, I think to me it just demonstrated how ridiculously convoluted the process is to get a tank of fuel.
Now, see, that's to me what the video did well was it showed how hydrogen is, as their tagline says, was it fueled by everything? Is that the tagline, I think?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it can literally be fueled, hydrogen, as we know, is a part of just about everything. But where the video fell down, like you said, Evan, was it fell apart when they were showing how much effort goes into making just enough hydrogen to drive a car. Drive that one car, we don't even know how much they put in it as far as what kind of range it had.
I was going to say, we don't even know how far it went.
Well, and obviously it's just kind of a joke, because there's no way that pile of cow poo was the same hydrogen that they used at the end. So.
Right. Absolutely.
Couldn't you just smell the exhaust coming out of the back?
Is it like the veggie oil cars where it smells like fries?
Right.
Here's the problem that I have. Sorry, I have many problems, but here's Okay, so honestly, the idea that hydrogen is omnipresent in our universe is really irrelevant. It's pointless.
Agreed.
Yes.
It's you think they're making a point, but the problem is hydrogen may be very common, but it's very difficult to extract, and once it's extracted, it's very difficult to contain and distribute.
Well, I don't even think extract is the right word. You don't really extract hydrogen. You literally rip it apart from the other molecules. It is the most abundant, but it is also the most, there's a word for it, the most prone
Sticky.
to attach, sticky. Yes, it is the most sticky because it wants to attach to other molecules at that subatomic, strong binding force, and you have to exert a lot of effort to literally rip them apart.
Right.
Yeah.
They did mention that they were doing methane steam reforming in the video, and I was surprised they even said that, because that alone takes a whole lot of energy that's coming from somewhere that's emitting CO2 as part of the process. And then the byproduct from that is hydrogen and more CO2. So how did they think that was a good thing? I think because they glossed over it, and they think that most people just think, oh, wow, you turned cow poo into hydrogen. How great. If you actually look one level deeper, you see the truth that it's not that great.
Yeah, but they're counting on those people to not look into that next level.
But at least they
Exactly.
didn't shy away from showing the steps that it does take.
Right.
Turn one
Well,
and
they
the other. They didn't take a handful of cow shit and shove it into the bride.
If they had, it would have been about as
And
honest.
thank God they didn't.
They would end up with a lot of car returns.
That would have been something that the guy in the GM in the Cadillac ads would do, right?
Yeah.
No, he would use his own.
Damn it.
Yeah, what was the flux capacitor, the Mr. Fusion? You could just drop anything in there, right?
Yeah.
We haven't got there yet.
Part of the problem, though, is that commercial glosses over the steam reforming process, which, as Evan or Tony or Patrick, somebody pointed out, is incredibly energy intensive. It takes an enormous amount of heat. And what we don't see, we see the guy take a couple of shovels full of cow poop, shovel it into this pool that is like covered with a nylon thing, and then he goes over and turns some valves.
Yeah.
Right.
So we skip all of the process that creates the carbon dioxide, the carbon monoxide, and the hydrogen. All the heat, all the energy that it takes to use that. They gloss over the fact that there's a diesel caterpillar moving the cow poop around and loading it into the truck, and the guy drives a gas truck to the hydrogen, to the manure pool.
And there's probably no waste in that manure pool after they collect their methane off of it, is there?
Well, I think it's chocolate. That's what
Unicorn farts.
Isn't the byproduct? I mean, once you rip them apart, you get hydrogen that you can fuel the car, and then the other byproduct is Apple Watches.
Clickbait.
Apple Watch is powered by a Tesla battery.
Oh. Well, right.
For those of you listening or watching it live, you can look in the showcase, which is maybe on this side. In the showcase, we've got the video up there, so you can watch it. And if you're listening to this show via the standard audio podcast format, we'll definitely have the link in the notes at whatdrives.us.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I have to say, at some point, I sort of feel a little hypocritical because I am a proponent of EVs, and I know that the energy that comes into the EV comes from somewhere. Now, in theory, someone could argue all the electricity that was used to separate the cow shit to make hydrogen was collected from a solar panel, stored in a Tesla battery, and was used to generate the process.
Okay, so you take that argument, but even if you use that, if you put that electricity directly into an EV, which is something that Evan hinted at earlier, you could go significantly further than if you use that to then make H2 with some CO2 byproduct and then drive.
Right.
So which would you rather do? Take the methane and make electricity, or take the methane and make H2 get half the distance and make twice the pollution.
Right. What
I would
Patrick's
rather just
talking about?
make electricity.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to correct you there, Patrick. Technically, you would drive farther, not further.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Correct.
Okay.
What is that? What is that, Sean? What is that movie where they have that as the point? I forget the name of it.
We really missed Tony last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell.
Farther, not further. Thank you for
yes.
all your grammatic corrections.
Yeah,
Is this where we do the smooth segue to the next topic?
Sure.
Is there a smooth
Is there
segue?
such a
Out-
thing?
Away from cow poo.
We go from
It's only up
We'll-
here.
We'll just slip. We'll slip into the next topic. How's
You'll-
that?
Whoops. Go from a vehicle fueled by bullshit to a country that has been aggressively subsidizing electric vehicles. Norway is one of the world leaders in EVs. They registered their 50,000th electric car last week. So 3 years earlier than they actually had expected to. Now keep in mind, 50,000 cars is no big deal in the United States. Norway's a little smaller. This actually represents about 5% of their vehicle sales. Excuse me, I think it's 20%.
Yeah, 1 in 5.
Yeah, 20%. So that would be a huge number in the United States. That's a big achievement. One of the I guess reactions. I guess one of the things that achieving this goal so quickly has done, though, is Norway's now considering they're reviewing their EV subsidies that they have placed. They've offered people to buy EVs, and they're considering eliminating them. Now,
So isn't that the goal of starting a subsidy? Is that at some point the momentum increases to the point that you no longer need to offer subsidies and people have bought into the advantages?
And
I
you
would
help
like
get the economies of scale.
Yeah, so look, they've probably hit a tip at 50,000 in Norway. That's a lot of dang cars in Norway.
yeah.
And I mean for EVs, and clearly their acceptance is very high. It's probably gotten to the point that people accept them as a normal mode of transportation that they want to buy, probably despite the subsidies. And maybe that's the time you stop offering them.
Well, that's part of the debate. I mean, Evan, that's a very totally legitimate question. I mean, I don't know that you can certainly look at the cost of the subsidy versus the net benefit to whatever it is to the country, to the people, and see if does one balance out with the other. Whether you should continue it, or have you primed the pump? I guess.
Right.
And is it time to step back and let the market sort of do what it's going to do? I mean, I that's absolutely legitimate. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I think if I can jump in here, a couple of points to me jumped out from the article. I mean, one of them is they were talking about just how much the subsidies has cost them in terms of lost revenue. And it was U.S. $380 to $510 million in revenue that the subsidies cost them. Okay, that's one side. But then you have to take into consideration that Norway generates all of its electricity from hydropower, from hydropower. So all the oil or the gasoline that runs conventional cars has to be imported, right?
Yep.
Instead of local source electricity. So the question becomes, how much did they reduce in revenue, and how much are they paying these other countries to import this other, the gasoline or the oil or the whatever? I mean, so I think just talking about lost revenue is just looking at the argument from one side, because technically, if 20% of the cars are not using imported oil, whoever they is, didn't have to purchase the oil that was imported, so they they actually saved money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was a point that I made in an earlier show, that money that is spent on fuel that comes locally stays in your community, and that means it continues to circulate within your community, which means it's more tax revenue locally. It's not leaving the country.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
Well, and
Wow, I could have just said that, and I ended up on a 2-minute diatribe. I will no longer correct your
It would be
grammar.
Tony if you said it that briefly.
Yeah.
I think
Your money
the
goes
way-
further. I know, I mean farther.
I think the way to farther pare back some of these, okay. I think some of the benefits. If I were a country, just any country or a state, I think you got to look logically at some of this stuff, and you got to see, okay, if everything that you're doing is working. Like for example, Norway cuts taxes on the cars, and then they provide other benefits, including exemptions from tolls and parking fees. They give them free recharging stations and the use of bus lanes. So if I were a government, the first thing I would do is I would start to take down the benefits that actually cost the government money. So whether
Right.
that's parking fees or taxes or whatever, you start to take away some of those benefits. You don't just take away everything at one time. Free recharging stations, if it's a country that's powered by hydropower, I can't imagine that the charging stations will be costing them a lot, right? Or is that an ignorant statement?
No, that's sunk cost. They've already built those, right?
Right.
I think the big difference is the dramatic cost between fuel, which they pay a lot more for there, and the cheap, clean electricity, which they have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So anyway,
the question
if
is
I were a
when.
government, I would start to take down some of the benefits that are costing you and your taxpayers money, and then some of the fringe benefits, like California, or in Virginia and other places that have the carpool lane benefits, gradually pare those down.
Yeah, and we brought up the question of when do you start that. For me, the real win is after you've crossed the chasm. If you look at the innovation curve, you have the innovators, the early adopters, and then the early majority. When you get to the early majority, that's when I think you can start removing these sorts of subsidies, because then now you've crossed the chasm, as the term is. At whatever 5 or 10% they are now, they're not there yet. You have to get into 20% before you've got something that's going to be sustainable, or the market will continue it.
So, Patrick, let me ask you this, since you spoke.
Wouldn't that take like 50 years in the United States?
It might, but in Norway,
2025.
yeah.
Right, and they're ahead of us because they've subsidized it more. And as you mentioned earlier, their fuel price is significantly higher. Therefore, the benefit to electric cars is much more obvious.
Mhm.
I can lease a car for half the price of what I'm paying for gas every month. Done. No question.
Well,
true.
and the other thing is the cost of vehicles in Norway is very, very high. So, relatively speaking, like for instance a Tesla, not that expensive.
Right, yeah. When they have 100% tax on a gas car and 0% tax on a Tesla, all of a sudden they're about the same price and free to fuel, easy.
Yeah. And it's a cool car. So,
Yeah.
Patrick, well, I guess what I wanted, the other story that goes along with this is House Bill 2092 in Oregon is trying to set up a $3,000 rebate for EV buyers.
Woohoo! Yeah, go Oregon.
So tell
7
me
cents.
what you
Thank
think
you.
of that.
I think it's a great idea. We've been one of the top 5 states to this point without having any subsidies, and that's because we were installing infrastructure, and that made the cars more valuable here. Well, now we've gotten to a point where to get to that next level of adoption, I think a subsidy or a tax incentive is the right thing.
Okay. So you think it's appropriate? It's a good time for it.
Exactly. Yeah, there were a whole lot of people in 2011 and 12 that were going to buy an electric car regardless of what it cost because they believed in it. They wanted it. That's what they thought what the right thing to do was, and they could afford it. So now you've got all these people with 6-figure salaries that have already bought their cars. Now we wanted to have more of the population be able to afford it. The best way to do that is cash on the hood. $3,000 helps a lot. You've got the $7,500 federal incentive, and now it's $10,000 off the price of a car. That's great.
Yeah.
It's going to make it much more affordable.
Like, if I walk into a Mitsubishi dealer, they're going to give me $500 and a free iMeave. Actually, they're going to give me an iMeave, a free iMeave, and a Kia.
As a kicker? Yeah, quite possibly.
Pick any used car on the lot plus the iMeave.
I would so love an iMeave.
So I like your argument, Patrick, about the fact that those people were going to buy one, anyway. So, it does sound like the early adopters are in, the infrastructure is built. Now, what can the state do to bring in the people who are on the cusp or just wanting that extra incentive or kick?
Yeah, so up to this point, there were a lot of people that were saying, oh, these cars aren't going to work for me because there isn't the infrastructure. And you could argue or not whether that was true, but hey, let's just install the infrastructure instead of arguing with them. And that's what they were asking for, so we've done it. We've got thousands of places to plug in the state. We've got fast charge stations, level 2 stations. They're all over, up and down I-5, up and down the coast, along the major routes. The corridors, they're all covered.
Are there really thousands? Can you name them? Go ahead, name them. I'll wait.
Plugshare.com. There, take a look at it.
This is the guy who couldn't name the airports in Oregon, okay?
Nor did I know how deep Crater Lake was. So yeah.
But flying is so carbon intensive. I mean, you really wouldn't expect it to.
Right. I do not fly very often at all. I've
So
been
Patrick,
been out of the country 3 times, and only one was by choice. Anyway, go ahead.
as an Oregonian and as an AV advocate, what is your opinion on flat technology-based tax credits versus battery size tax credits? So plug-in versus EV, 3,000 or 1,500, or a tiered system based on battery size.
Yeah, so this is one that Chelsea and I actually discussed on the show a long time ago, where I said it should be based on MPGE rating, not even looking at the battery technology or not. And she supported the federal system that we have now. And I see her point that she's a whole lot smarter than I am, so I'll just say she's right. But I like the idea of the government defining a goal and not the method. So if you define, we want something that's low CO2, however you get there, great, we'll incentivize it. And that leaves innovation up to the companies and people that can come with clever ideas. I don't want it to be, if you do it exactly like this, then we'll give you to find their own path.
So if bullshit gives you 180 MPGE, then you should get a good tax credit for it.
Exactly. If you can do 180 MPGE, that gets a full, whatever, 10,000, and if you get to half that, you get half of it.
Hell, if bullshit got that kind of MPG, then Capitol Hill would be running on pure EVs.
Runs on bullshit. Hey, wow, you defined our political system.
I think it's a good point, though, Patrick. I think it's a good point, because you look at like the carbon credits thing and what's happening there, and even Tesla is just manipulating that system that was set in place to the point that it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, they get 9 carbon credits because they built a technology that's capable of battery swapping without actually doing any battery swapping or very little. of it. So,
Right.
people are going to take advantage of some, strictly defined system like that.
Yeah, why have MPGE as a measurement if it means nothing? Because it doesn't mean anything to consumer right now. At least my perspective is that people look at these cars solely based on rated mileage range, and MPGE is like secondary or tertiary or even worse as far as what they think about or worry about.
Agreed. If you're talking about an electric car, the range is far more important than the efficiency. Because the fuel is so cheap, the efficiency is nearly irrelevant. What matters is, can I get to where I want to go?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Tesla's far worse than an iMEV, but I would much rather have a Tesla than an iMEV.
And I think you guys mentioned on a show that I wasn't on, but California has eliminated their state credit.
I thought it got reduced from
California?
5,000.
I'm sorry,
to
not California.
100, but
Georgia is what I was thinking about. Sorry.
So close.
Similar.
It's one of those states that ends with an A.
Be nice to him. He ain't ever been out South Carolina.
What are you talking about? I live in North Carolina. I've moved up.
He's a northerner now.
Yeah. I'm a Yankee.
Yeah, Georgia was. I honestly don't. Patrick, do you remember the story? I think you actually. No.
They were trying to eliminate their EV tax credit, and at the same time they wanted to put a luxury credit in place that would impact Tesla. So it was a double whammy against Teslas.
Gosh.
And Patrick,
But
I apologize. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
Yeah, I don't have it. I haven't read it recently, but yeah, that was a couple weeks ago.
But I do remember it was not a very fun thing.
Right.
I mean, I think this is a good discussion to have. We should agree on whether or not these things are good to subsidize, and I think all of us do. But at some point, set reasonable standards and goals, and when we've achieved those goals, then be able to take that resource, that money, and apply it somewhere else, whether it's in public transit or in road maintenance or safety or wherever.
Yeah, Thor would be happy with that. Remember him from last week. He wanted more train subsidies and less EV subsidies. But
Yeah.
Georgia has been doing better than Oregon. I think they were number 2 or 3 for EV adoption up to this point. And when they get rid of their tax credit, they're going to drop like a rock.
Yeah. No, they were very aggressive with it, which is what was so surprising.
I just found on a website here that said not only did state legislators voted to eliminate a tax credit that helped catapult Metro Atlanta to the highest U.S. market share for plug-in electric vehicles, the same bill will impose a $200 registration fee for non-commercial electric vehicles.
Non-commercial.
So they went totally 180 on that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's probably like the EV. I don't mind those fees.
Yeah, I think they just did a hybrid. I think it's $50 in North Carolina.
It's because you're a billionaire.
Annual.
I'm gonna pay it in gas if I'm driving a gas car. Might as well pay it in electric all at once.
There you go.
I don't know. I just had this discussion with somebody. If we're trying to incentivize those cars and they benefit our community locally, they benefit our atmosphere, we're not producing as much CO2, I think it's the wrong time to start putting extra fees on them. I agree that everybody needs to pay their fair share of the impact. Talked about this before. Most of that comes from property taxes. So I think it's ridiculous when you're trying to increase the percentage of EVs on the road to give them any $50, $100, $200 registration fee. It's the wrong message. It just gives people one more reason to say, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, but by not having it gives people that maybe already are somewhat opposed to EVs a little bit more ammunition to say, see, they're not even paying their share of the road taxes, and I'm having to pay for all of it to keep our roads in shape, and they're using those roads without paying anything, and that's not fair. And for me, $75, $200 a year, whatever, to say
Just
no,
to shut up your advocates. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm behind that one. I see your point.
I just don't. Well, I think it's consistency, and when you do something like that, you're
Adversaries.
not being consistent. You're not saying on one hand we want to create incentives for these things, and on the other hand we're going to smack you in the head with something pointless and
Yeah,
stupid.
I agree.
Evan, to your point, I get it. I get the practicality of your point, but I also think at some point you stop trying to convert some people because they're not going to come along to that point of view no matter what. A lot of the people that make that argument, oh, those damn hybrids.
Again, I don't know. I don't know it's so much to convert them, but to remove one of the arguments that might be used against maybe an EV incentive that might come up. And well, maybe I don't know. Our road maintenance comes out of our gas tax, and I'm not paying a gas tax, but I use the roads. I don't mind paying my fair share to use those roads. I think it's completely reasonable.
The gas tax thing is something that is going to have to be completely blown up and rebuilt state by state over the next 10 years because it's a ridiculous system right now. And
You got to stop calling it a gas tax.
Well, number one, they need to stop calling it a gas tax. Number two, they need to stop making it a regressive tax on the passenger vehicle people. North Carolina is proposing revisions to the highway use tax, which mostly focuses on increasing by 50% every DOT fee. So instead of $45 a year for your plate renewal, it'll be $90. Or, I'm sorry, that's double. It'll be whatever, $67.50.
Hey, give him a little credit. He's new to the North.
adding an extra percentage point to sales tax at the time of purchase. But I couldn't help but look at this stuff and think, why are passenger vehicles the ones that are holding the weight?
Lobbyists.
The use fees should be mostly put on the shoulders of commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
I agree. They're the ones that cause the majority of the road wear.
Yeah,
Cars
are so much lighter than they were 20 or 30 years ago. Commercial vehicles are more and more taking up, especially interstates.
Yep.
Danny Cooper, why do you hate America?
I just do.
Picking on the job creators. Yes, this is me in sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
I agree. It is a regressive tax. So as much as I support increasing the gas tax, that's going after the wrong people in a lot of ways.
Well, and look
well, the problem also is that eliminating using the gas tax to fund use fees is letting commercial vehicles get around it almost entirely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, the same, and going back, I'm going to pick on Evan again. Going back to what Evan was saying about countering objections raised
Why?
by...
I can't defend myself.
Don't make him cry, Russell.
You're always so mean to me.
While we're talking about subsidizing EVs and hybrids, now, for years, decades, we've been subsidizing commercial vehicles and trucks and SUVs. And especially commercial trucks and SUVs. That's sweet tax deals on those things if you bought them. So if you owned a business, a small business or whatever, and you bought a Denali, you got a hell of a discount, courtesy of your state and federal government. Which all of a sudden now the Prius owner or whoever, some dork in it, with a Leaf, is going to get $1,500 or $3,000 back. Oh my God, we got to pull out our hair. The roads are going to fall apart. That's kind of the problem that I have when I say consistency, is I think I don't want to waste time countering bullshit. If it's a legitimate argument, like you said, Evan, which is I drive on the roads, I should subsidize them. I should help pay for them. That's legitimate, and I get that. But the others, the non-legitimate argument, the one to ignore, is you know where I'm going with that?
Well, one of the things that people don't realize, even though there is a gas tax, is that every time they go and they fill up, that tank of fuel is being subsidized. If you want to look at the real costs, let's look at all the externalities. Let's look at the cost of the military. Let's look at the environmental damages caused by it. And the $10 per gallon that they're paying in Europe is closer to the real cost. And when you're paying $2.50 here, that's thousands of dollars per year that you're getting subsidized. And then to say, oh my God, I can't believe that this electric car is going to get $3,000. Well, when you're getting $10,000, $12,000 over the lifespan of your car, you shouldn't be pointing the finger.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And also, gas tax it's at least in my part of the country, it's a ridiculously low percentage of the actual cost of a gallon of gas. And in North Carolina, it's at 36 cents. And through these different tax increases on DOT fees, they're hoping to lower it down to 26 cents, which is on par with what South Carolina is. And the only reason they're doing that is because all the state line gas stations bitch about how they don't get any income because of the South Carolina gas tax. Whereas South Carolina's roads are falling apart. Just completely falling apart. This is not hyperbole, people. There's an article today. There was an op-ed in the state newspaper today about how Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, has completely lost any right to say the way that roads should be improved in South Carolina because they have just completely fallen apart over the last 5 years.
Yeah, you have to fund it.
Yeah, you got to fund it, which means you have to take away the incentives from the electric vehicle owners because they're the people who are causing all of this turmoil.
Right, yeah, it's 0.25% of your sales, and yet that's where you should get all your money.
Right, yeah.
There could be a $20,000 per EV tax, and it would not make a dent in road funding.
Right.
At all.
There probably should be, though, because they're all like communists.
And
they hate America. Right.
Well, speaking of communist hybrid and EV owners, there's another article. In fact, I'm going to designate.
We're making Evan cry more.
This is without question the link bait article of the month, maybe of the year so far.
I've never seen Edmonds write something that hasn't just been link baity. And that's where all this information is sourcing from. That's where all this is sourcing from.
Everybody has picked up on this, and I mean everybody has picked up on this article. Edmunds.com Director of Industry Analysis, a young lady named Jessica Caldwell, went on the record today with some statements that other sites then have taken and embellished and emphasized. The basic contention, and I'll quote her from USA Today. She says, and I quote, "For better or worse, it looks like many hybrid and EV owners are driven more by financial motives rather than a responsibility to the environment. 3 years ago, when gas was at near record highs, it was a lot easier to rationalize the price premiums on alternative fuel vehicles. But with today's gas prices as low as they are, the math just doesn't make a very compelling case." End quote. So what these other news organs have done then is say that, EV owners and hybrid owners are bailing out like crazy and all the sales are plummeting and they all want Denali's and nobody wants a stupid Leaf. Who wants a stupid Leaf?
Because gas is cheap and gas will always be cheap.
Always be cheap, right.
Always.
And dinosaurs die every day to replenish.
Right.
Fuel.
And I buy a Denali to save money. That's why I buy a Denali.
The great carboniferous forest of Alaska will sustain our children with fresh oil.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
So how many years do you have to buy a Denali
poop
before it
into it.
pays for itself?
No, now listen. As someone who's actually look at this data quite a bit because it directly impacts my business. There is a curve that follows the price of gas and hybrid sales / traffic on Prius chat. And when gas prices start to go down, so does the corresponding sales with Prius, and I'm sure all other hybrid and EVs. Now, the number that caught me that I found was interesting was that Prius owners in particular have been very loyal to the brand, and when they've traded in one, they've gotten another. Some have moved to like Camry Hybrid, some have moved to Prius V or Prius C, but they've usually stayed within the Toyota HSD family. The numbers that came out from Edmunds show that while in 2012 over 60% of hybrid and EV trade-ins got another hybrid or EV, and actually with Prius it was much, much higher than that. I want to say it was like in the 80% range. It is down to 45% this year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big drop. Newsflash: humans are short-sighted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Someone should write an article about that.
Here's my problem. One of my problems. Oh, I have so many problems.
We covered this.
Evan, you want to write him a script?
Yeah. You know what? Let's just cut to the chase. Tell me where.
Therapy for Russell.
Brew some Prozac beer.
This just sounds like a 2007 article. You know, every time gas prices would dip, it would be like, oh, those stupid hybrid owners. Oh, what idiots. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard this song so many times before. And as Tony briefly pointed out, and everyone on the panel will, I'm sure, strongly concur, yeah, gas prices are always low, and they never go up. When you look at the long-term trend, they always go up.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, we're saving more fuel, we're driving less, and gas price. Part of the problem is that there's less demand, and that's a good thing. The solution isn't to burn more fucking gas; it's to keep burning less gas.
Whoa, wait, what? Let me write that down.
Hold on.
This changes everything.
Put that in your
Revolutionary.
notes, everybody.
I know.
Email that to me, will you, Evan? Once you get that down, so I'll have it. Yeah, it's so many of these business people love quoting Jack Walsh of General Electric, right? The one thing they keep forgetting is Jack Walsh said, when times are tight, save money. When times are not tight, save more money. I mean, that's, they quote Jack Walsh so much.
That's from the hip. Right there, Jack Walsh.
Yeah. And but then when it comes to things like this, a woman who clearly doesn't deserve to be a director of anything, much less industry analysis, can't grab on to the concept that you can't do math between cars that consume half the amount of fuel and cars that cost more to begin with and then consume twice as much fuel. There is no math that makes the Denali more feasible than a fuel-efficient vehicle.
Well, all right. As much as this pains me, I'll try to take the other side. There are a lot of people that want big vehicle.
Where's mute?
And there are a lot of people that want something that seats 7, and an SUV is what that is. And you can't really buy a whole lot of hybrid or plug-in SUVs today.
Okay,
there's
those are
a market we need.
Those are the people who didn't buy one to begin with because it doesn't fit their needs. Now, you're saying they're trading up from a hybrid to a Denali because they just realized, oh, snap, we keep leaving 3 of our kids behind because our Prius doesn't seat 7.
Finally go back and get them where I left them 2 years ago.
Remember we had gas enough to take all the kids on a trip? Here's what wait, one real quick interjection. So, really, we should be, whatever the reasons are, it's a horrible decision. So we should encourage this? Just because people are doing it doesn't mean it's right. American Idol exists. It doesn't mean it's right.
I mean,
who's encouraging
I
this
grew
from
up-
an Edmunds perspective? No, I don't think anyone's encouraging it. I think she's just reporting the data.
I don't know. When she comes out and says and is quoted as saying, but with today's gas prices as low as they are, the math just doesn't make a compelling case. She's promoting.
Yeah.
Well, that is the short-sighted mindset of a lot of people. Hey,
Well-
this is going to work.
Well, and that's the other thing.
It's my
perception, right? I mean, when gas is $2.50 for the first time, it's like, oh my God, gas is $2.50. We can't drive anywhere this year. When gas is $2.50 for a year and a half, it's like, oh, gas is only $2.50. You know, we can do anything.
Spoil the frog.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll back off on this a little bit and say that it's not so much Jessica Caldwell of Edmunds that was encouraging this, but a lot of, dare I suggest, right-wing sites grabbed this story and ran with it as the failure of hybrid EVs and government subsidies, and wow, Evan, look out! Oh no!
Evan has a beautiful lady behind him.
Ah, yes, she does. I
Yeah.
only saw her hands. Oh wait, oh.
I'm gonna make her be on the show one week if she keeps this up.
She can talk about how much she loves driving the Tesla.
She does love driving my Tesla.
Yeah.
Is that what your kids are calling it today?
Brilliant. Beautiful. Hey, honey, let's drive the Tesla.
Evan's been calling it that since he put in his deposit.
That's how he got
It's
two
all
kids.
over. It's all over.
Wow, did we get sidetracked there?
Well, I'm sorry, what was the story? So, whether Edmunds meant it or not, I think they did. I think Edmunds loves being quoted in lots of different places, and they're not really responsible enough to care and look at what they're fueling. And if they're fueling the idea that you're dumb to have a hybrid when gas is $2.50 a gallon and you can buy a Denali or a Yukon or an Escalade or whatever, that's irresponsible.
Well, some of this
Yeah,
writing is irresponsible too, from USA Today's perspective. At least the article that we're using for the show tonight, and I read a CNN Money article that I posted on Twitter earlier today that I don't think was quite as salacious, but they talk about GM cutting the prices of the Spark EV and Cadillac ELR, which they did, but they also say and temporarily halted production of its Chevrolet Volt plug-in car. Well, the only reason they halted production was so they could retool for the next generation Volt.
Yeah, talk about taking something out of context. That's ridiculous.
They did
Yeah,
the
and
same
then-
thing with Tesla when they shut down to retool their facility. I don't know.
And talking about the plug-in, the Prius plug-in sales falling 61% without providing context for that. That's because there's literally no stock of them anywhere in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I read an article like this, and I take a very different view of it. And that there are some people that are buying cars for the right reasons. They're thinking about they're going to own it for 10 years or 7 years or however long, and they know that gas prices fluctuate over time, and they're looking for something fuel efficient for the right reasons, not just, oh, what's it going to cost me this month?
Right.
And then there are other people that are stupid, and they change their buying habits based on what the price of gas is down the street today. That's the way I look at this, as they're calling some people dumb.
And those are the same people who are surprised when gas goes back up to $4 a gallon. They try to sell their Denali and realize it's worth half what they paid for it. Nobody wants it.
Right. Then they're complaining about the price of gas and wondering, I can't believe it's so high. This is ridiculous. I can't believe my car lost so much value. This is horrible.
I'm just going to set it on fire on the side of the freeway.
You know, I just thought of a really good marketing program for companies that make EVs and hybrids. They should be boosting the price of gas at gas stations near their dealerships. You know what I'm saying? Like say, you know, yeah, we just want you guys to charge $4 a gallon every fucking day. So that the last thing.
Yes, we'll pay for all the difference to keep you open.
Yeah, exactly. As you drive into the dealership, oh my God, $4 a gallon.
I need to go buy a hybrid.
What were we?
I need to go to South Carolina.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Only
It
if
could
you
even
ever
be a
get
fake gas
shocked.
station.
Right?
Don't go over a bridge.
Yeah. Extra cool gas.
Just a quick note to everybody who's watching the show live. If you have any Q&A questions that you want to get in before the end of the show, we're about to wrap up. So if you look over here, or maybe over here, somewhere,
There you go.
instead of pulling up the Showcase app, you can pull up the Q&A app and you can ask a question, or you can post it on the Google Plus event page for tonight's show, and we will try to answer it here in the next few minutes.
Cool.
So should we just sit here quietly?
Yeah, let's just sit here and
Okay.
wait.
Wait for questions from our massive audience.
Danny just killed the show.
Sorry.
No, that's brilliant.
Hey,
That's a great idea.
our pals from Waterloo Region Voltec are on there.
Oh, are they? Hey, cool. Hi, guys.
He actually posted that they have a 25% gas tax where they are in Canada. And
Wow.
gas today is $3.90 a gallon.
I'm glad they converted it from liters to gallons because I would
Yeah,
have been so
because
lost.
it would have meant nothing to me. So,
Got like $7 a liter thing, and I go, oh. Sorry.
all right, well, should we go ahead and do some... are we done with that topic, I guess, is the question?
Anybody have any final words?
I have no words.
No.
No.
I did have one thought though. Based on an earlier article, and I was wondering if anybody knows what they build homes out of in Norway.
Cow manure. Oh
I
no,
was
wait.
thinking,
Fuel hydrogen vehicles.
I was going with Nor walls.
Oh.
Awful.
No.
Didn't I mute his mic? Why?
And you thought Danny killed the show.
That's terrible. Well, if that's all we've got, then that's all we've got. I'll start things off by saying our usual huge thanks to Michael Manring for our theme music. You can find him at manthing.com. Thanks to Michael for that. That's about all the shout-outs I have this week for me. And for the show right now, we'll give you some more information later. Mr. Cooper?
Well, I did want to remind everybody that next week we are having a special episode.
Yes.
We're going to have Doug Coleman and another representative from Toyota on board.
A unicorn.
A unicorn?
I couldn't get through it.
Cow.
I got this
Maybe it's a cow. I'm not sure.
There it is.
There's your unicorn for you. I got that one.
Next week we'll be having a special show with those folks from Toyota. They have been very nice to put aside some time and come on to talk to us specifically about the Toyota Mirai and the hydrogen fuel cell technology that
Bullshit.
that is
Bullshit.
going to be taking us by storm. So if you have any specific questions that you want us to answer, please email us, Danny at whatdrivesus or whatdrives.us, Russell at whatdrives.us. Post it on the Facebook wall. That's probably the easiest way to get it to us. If you have a voicemail that you'd like us to play on the air, you can call us at 575-51-DRIVE and leave a voicemail, and we can play
What's
it on
that
the
number,
air.
Danny?
That number again is 575-51-DRIVE. So we'd love to hear from anybody who has a question. We'd like to get some of the questions answered about what Toyota's perspectives are on their advancement with with their fuel cell technology. That's pretty much my shout out this week. Is a shout out to next week's show. So please tune in.
It's Wednesday, April 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Watch us live. Like Danny said, send us questions via the Google voicemail or Facebook page somewhere. You want to be part of this, and we want you to be part of it. Thank you.
I'm actually pretty excited about that show. I'm proud of them for coming on and facing us as outspoken as we've been on this topic. Come right into the lion's den.
Yep.
I guess given the first half hour of this week's show, well, we may want to confirm that appearance. No, they're tough enough. They're tough enough to take it. If they can actually zoom in on a cow's butt while it's pooping.
Yep.
Okay.
No fear.
So.
Wow.
You know what? And Danny also should have mentioned that if you have a Prius, you want to go to the Prius chat.
Prius chat.
Prius something.
Prius chat.
Another representative of the Prius community.
That would be the Mirai chat. Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like a French thing. It's the Prius. Prius Chat Shop. It's at priuschat.com/shop where all the cool pre-tested Prius goodies are there.
Thank you.
Get a free sticker if you mention the show.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well,
mention What Drives Us podcast in the comments when you check out, and we'll send you a free sticker. It'll be a Prius Chat sticker. I've actually had someone complain that I sent them a Prius Chat sticker instead of a What Drives Us sticker.
Oh, wow.
Ah. Well, at
You
least it
said
wasn't
you wouldn't talk about my complaint.
whoever that person was, I loved him.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Hey, at least he didn't
Yeah.
send a Powerpuff Girl sticker.
Oh,
See, that would have been funny.
or a unicorn sticker.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah. See,
I'm sure
unicorn
we're trying
sticker.
to unicorn. You know, we need like a show mascot. I'm going to work on that. Speaking of things to work on, just because Evan was so happy to be announced first at the beginning of the show, let's give him first shout out at the end of the show.
Woohoo! Hey, well, I was just thinking the bullshit video really should have had Penn and Teller doing the, whole dialogue.
First thing
Yeah.
I thought of, yeah.
That would have been much more appropriate. My usual shout outs, priuschat.com, you got to go there if you're a Prius guy, and I spend some time these days on TeslaMotorsClub.com site, and it's a pretty good site for Tesla related stuff if you have questions or ideas there. Otherwise, good to be on the show again.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Evan. Patrick, shout outs?
Yes, I have a shout out. I would like to give a shout out to both the Union of Concerned Scientists and Drive Oregon. They were both big supporters of the Oregon EV initiative, and thank you both very much.
Oh, right
Cool.
on.
Yeah, wow.
Wow. Well, Tony, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm looking at it appears I went pixelized again, but okay, that's all right.
There
Getting
you go.
through that. So I just want to give a shout out to Loretta Smith and Jojo Covington and Oliver Danner. Thanks for liking our Facebook page. Really appreciate it. Steve Younger and Rita Abdul Zaid. Thanks for coming around. Hope you're watching, listening to the show. And I want to make sure that anyone who stumbled upon the show and has no idea, you can go to facebook.com/whatdrivesus, all one word. And I also want to give a shout out to Brent Seabrook and Patrick Kane for winning the Hawks game in triple overtime this morning at 1:15 a.m.
Oh, that's why you're a little bleary-eyed.
Oh my God, I am so tired. Yes, but it was worth it.
Priorities.
Yes, yes.
Well, as Denny mentioned earlier, you can call us and leave us a general comment or question on our Google voicemail line at 575-51-DRIVE. But, of course, next week we've got people from Toyota here to talk about Mirai, so if you have a fuel cell question or comment, we would love to have it. That's 575-51-DRIVE. You can download the show, stream the show from our website, whatdrives.us. Of course, we're available through several different podcast catcher apps, Stitcher, Slacker, iTunes, this little thing called iTunes.
Never heard of it.
Never. And only idiots believe me. Yeah, it's me. I'm an idiot. Of course, if you do subscribe, you get the shows right away, and we would love it if you would leave us a nice review. It actually does mean something to us. I hate to say it, but we do read those, and they're important.
It's all we have to go on, really.
All we have.
Yes.
Well, we got a question.
Yeah.
From John Brayling? Brayling? How would you guys pronounce that?
I can't see it.
I can't see it. I'm sorry.
I pronounce it Smith.
Maybe John will. Please correct me, John. I apologize for if I butchered it. He wants to know if we have thoughts on the rumored home battery pack from Tesla, the announcement that's coming on April 30th. It was
Funny that should come up.
Funny you should ask, John, because it was actually one of our topics for tonight, but we were running long, so we cut it. Because, well, we will have some official information after April 30th, so we figured it could keep for a while. My thoughts are Tesla's looking for a way to sell those batteries that they're going to make.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hear they're building a factory somewhere to make batteries.
Is it a... Wait, I think
in
it's...
the woods.
What a surprise that Elon has an idea to maybe sell batteries, and honestly, it's a really good idea, depending on the cost and, you want to diversify. If you're A123 and all you do is make battery packs for power drills, you're probably not going to have a great business model.
Right. But if you make batteries and cars and shoot things into freaking outer space, you got a future.
And you're Iron Man.
And you're Iron Man, exactly.
Yeah, my basic thought is that the more batteries that Tesla can make, the cheaper they can make them at, which means the more profit they can make off of said batteries and the cars that the batteries go into.
And the research, technology, and improvements.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Absolutely.
Right, but if I have to wait an extra week to get my Model 3 because they sold some pack to someone for their house, I'm going to be mad about it.
Oh, my God.
I'm actually kind of with Patrick on that.
No, an extra day. Yeah, it's a great business model, and I think that all those rumors are right. That is what they're going to announce on the 30th. I'd be surprised if it was anything else.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be Elon Musk if he didn't throw something unexpected in there as well. There's always a... But wait, there's more!
Yeah, we just found a way to make the Tesla go faster.
It's going to come with a tow hook so you can attach it to a Model S and drag it behind you for extended range.
Yeah, now you have 1,500-mile range because you're dragging a trailer full of batteries behind you.
Well, your range actually goes down because your trail...
That's the real reason that they're moving to all-wheel drive for all the platform, because
so they can pull the battery
trailer.
Yeah.
Battery trailer. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry, we have to end the show because I have to go on Amazon and shop for a unicorn costume for next week's show. So, with that, I want to thank all of our panelists, as always, for an awesome job. Tony, Patrick, and who's the other guy? Evan. Evan, what the hell? Where are you, in Venice?
He's flooded.
Well, yes, I am.
You're floating over the city of Venice like some nebulous ghost.
It's a little bizarre, isn't it?
I think you've had enough of your own.
How about a glacier? How about a glacier? Is a glacier better?
Oh, no.
No?
And, of course, I also want to thank my co-host, my friend, Mr. Danny Cooper. Dude, glad to see you back. I'm glad that the finger's doing better.
It's feeling much better, thank you.
Good. Stop.
It's not looking any better, but it's feeling better.
No. Does it scare your kids?
They've only seen it. Well, Stella has seen it once, and she recoiled in horror because it was actually in the urgent care room, and they had me set my hand down in a way that it was looking right at her, and she was like a good 15 feet away across the room, and still was like. And Nicole was like, "Okay, it's time for me to take the kids back to the waiting room."
Yep. Yeah, she's gonna have nightmares about Daddy's zombie finger or something.
Yeah, it's already come up a couple times over the last week or so.
Well, and of course, the people that we need to thank the most are all of you. Please don't forget, next week, April 29th, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, a big important show with people from Toyota on the Mirai fuel cell vehicle. We would love to have you here, just as we do every week. And like I said, we want to thank you for listening. Download us next week and find out what drives us.